Indiana drew an average of 16.5 million viewers on ABC and ESPN. A very special ceremony is taking place today outside the Mobile Convention Center in Mobile, Alabama. City officials are unveiling the Hall of Fame Walk, 6 statues of Hall of Fame athletes who grew up in Mobile. The list includes Baseball Hall of Famers Hank Aaron, Satchel Paige, Ozzie Smith, Willie McCovey, and Billy Williams, and NFL Hall of Fame linebacker Robert Brazile, who played at Jackson State. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Tavis, Smiley, welcome to the third and final hour of our program today. We have, as I said a moment ago, been covering a lot of international stuff, given all the drama that's happening in the Middle East right now, but a lot of domestic issues that we have not had a chance to get to on today's program. We'll do that in this hour. We've been playing the best of Aretha Franklin all 3 hours of today's program because June is Black Music Month, and every June we choose a different artist of the day and play the best, some of the best of their music. It's hard to do that with the Queen. So many hits, so little time. But we've been playing, again, some of the best of Aretha as we have moved through these 3 hours, and I'm delighted we've made it to the final hour of today's program. Our guest is Associate Professor in the School of Public Policy at the University of Maryland and author Dr. Niambi Carter. Dr. Carter, good to have you back on the program. How are you today?
I'm doing well, Tavis. Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you back on the program. Let me just get your broad thoughts. I spent most of the time talking about this international issue that the whole world is talking about, the ceasefire that Donald Trump announced last night. It is holding at the moment. I don't need to go long on that per se, but I am always fascinated by the way in which black academics, African-American scholars, see issues like these. We don't often get a chance to talk about these sort of international issues. I made the point yesterday that I don't care what the issue is. If you look hard enough, you search long enough, you will find black experts on any subject under the sun. We are not boxed in to just 2 or 3 issues. We can talk about anything and everything. So I push my team of producers, and always have in my entire career, to find me a black expert no matter what the subject is, which is not to suggest that I don't talk to white folk. I talk to them all the time. But I want to make sure that we use this platform, this black platform, to expose our audiences in this country and around the world to other voices. So I say all that to say I'm fascinated by how a public policy professor in a moment like this views what she's been witnessing the last few days with regard to global, international, foreign policy. Take it any way you will, and I'll jump from there.
Well, I mean, I think the thing that I always come back to is like, why now? and why this?
Yeah.
Who does it serve? And who gets hurt? And I'm thinking about, these global moves as being very connected to the politics of home, not only because I think Donald Trump is thinking about what his legacy will be, and after the I don't know, you want to call it this military display to nowhere of a few weeks ago that I think many would characterize as not the strongest showing of U.S. military might that maybe this administration was hoping for. This was a turn and an opportunity for him to assert his dominance. And I think when we think about what Trump is doing abroad, we can't forget that now that the conversation is Iran and Israel, and it's sort of taking up all of the oxygen, we forget that there are still people being picked up by ICE and taken to detention facilities. And when we think about communities of color, but Black communities in particular, those communities that are already over policed are ripe for that kind of intervention by agencies like ICE. And when we think about Black migrants, they're more likely to be picked up, but also more likely to be deported. So this has a lot of consequences for us. And as many people are already hurting, as many people are already thinking about the cost of oil, and, dealing with layoffs, and other kinds of things that happen as a result of this administration's swift changes. I don't think we can see these instances of U.S. intervention abroad as divorced from what's happening at home, either because it's going to have blowback on us as citizens, as service people, because many Black community members are in the military and armed forces.
Yeah.
But also in terms of our inability to sort of break through that media focus on those international issues to continue keeping attention on things that are happening now, like these protests that are happening around ICE and their incursions into our communities.
You've said a lot already that's worth interrogating. I've scribbled down a couple notes things I want to ask you about when we come forward here. But let me just ask you this first before I do that. Again, you've given me a lot to work with for the rest of the hour, for that matter. But I love this frame. As I say all the time on this program, we got to get our frame right. I don't care what the conversation is, what the subject is. You have to be in the right frame. And I love the way you frame your work and your witness with those questions. Why now and why this? Who is being served? Who's being hurt? Why now and why this? Who's being served and who's being hurt? That's a beautiful frame that I want to, again, underscore for our audience, because that's something that each and every one of us could benefit from. That is to say, asking those questions no matter what it is that we are discussing. So when we come forward, I'm fascinated by how you created that frame for your own work. Those questions, why now and why this? Who's being served, who's being hurt, whatever the conversation is about. Those are four very powerful questions that one can and should wrestle with, again, no matter the subject matter. So we'll talk about that and a great deal more. We're going to cover a lot of domestic issues in this hour, which we didn't get to in the first 2 hours, with Dr. Carter when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
What make you? Yeah.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in.
But we're okay with that.
You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
More of Aretha Franklin on Tavis Smiley. She has been our featured artist of the day as we continue once again our celebration of June as Black Music Month. Our guest is Dr. Niambi Carter, a professor in the School of Public Policy at U of M, University of Maryland, author, and again, pleased to have her on in this final hour of our program today to cover some domestic issues that we didn't get a chance to talk to in the first couple hours, given the drama and the ceasefire, again, that's, I think, tepid but holding at the moment between Iran and Israel. But you started this conversation moments ago by talking about this frame through which, this prism, I should say, frame, pick your word, through which you look at the issues that you teach and the issues that you assess and drill down into. And I love the four questions. Why now? Why this? Who is served and who is hurt? How does that help you tackle the issues that you do address as a professor?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is always hard because everybody here seems to be working at cross purposes, right? So on the one hand, there's a sense that we want peace, yet you escalate tension, right? You drop bombs. That seems to be the opposite of wanting to negotiate peace. And I think when you look at sort of, again, like I said, Trump has his own agenda. Certainly, Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel have their own agenda. And in particular, at least analysts who have far more experience in this region of the world have suggested that this is going to give Benjamin Netanyahu sort of more comfort when he goes up for reelection because he is enjoying higher poll numbers and he is more popular than he was just a few moments ago, excuse me, as the Gaza conflict continues to drag on. And as you know, the condemnation internationally has been pretty loud and swift. But that has not seemed to discourage Netanyahu's activities around the Middle East, not just with Gaza, but now with Iran. And that seems to at least be giving him some comfort. So I always approach this from the place of what do people get out of this? Because I'm a big believer that no one, particularly governments, does anything for no reason. And that reason may not be altruistic, right? I think a lot of times, especially when we're talking about conflicts like this, altruism seems to be the lowest concern, right? Or the least important motivator. And so, it's not always comfortable to talk about because I think we have this notion sometimes that we all want, sort of the greater good and that, human values will rule the day. But I think when we talk about geopolitics or just politics more generally, that's very rarely the case. Because somehow, sometimes, for some, any kind of win, and I use that very loosely, for another person necessarily represents a loss. And I mean, we hear that in every conversation from war to taxes, right? That if we do something for this group or if this group gets this, then that means less for me. Well, yes, but that doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing unless you think of having less money or resources and being able to hoard those things for yourself. Is a detriment to you. Like having to share is a detriment to you. And I think, so much of our political lives comes down to those very basic human lessons and those very basic human needs for power, for money, for praise, right? Pride and ego, all of that is very much a part of our political stakes in this moment.
It occurs to me, Dr. Carter, Professor Carter, that I could use this line on any number of issues when it comes to Donald Trump. But to what extent do you think that this bombing of Iran was itself a weapon of mass distraction? It certainly was a weapon of mass destruction that we used these bunker busting bombs. But to what extent do you think this is a weapon of mass distraction? I raise that, as I said a moment ago, I could use this line, as you know, on any number of things that Donald Trump has done, including the ICE raids that you referenced a moment ago. But he is the master of keeping us distracted. He's the master of sleight of hand. What say you about the way, in fact, that he uses sleight of hand to keep us sort of off balance, if you will?
Well, because now we are focused on what's happening miles away from us, right? Thousands and thousands of miles away from us. And that's kind of all that's being talked about. And I think one of the things that Donald Trump is very good at is changing the conversation and managing headlines. And so now we're going to be talking about, these bombs, etc., rather than talking about sort of like the aircraft, right, that we need to drop these bombs, right? It's estimated, I believe, those bombers are around $2 billion. Yet we're in a place right now where we're talking about cutting funding for school lunches for children. So how is it that we can always find money for war, but we can't feed the poor, right? As Tupac told us. It's always one of those things. It's like everything seems more urgent when you tell people, well, Iran is a terrorist place, or Iran was going to have nuclear weapons and do all these horrible things in the region and potentially threaten the United States. And I think Americans have a particular sensitivity after September 11th, and that's legitimate. I get it. But when we think about the things that are happening to our lives right now, like that big, beautiful bill that is working its way through Congress, and all of the cuts that are there, the fact that we are cutting funding for research, for dementia, for HIV/AIDS, all of these things that are extremely important to our communities. Um, from our health to our wellness, the cuts at the EPA, right, which protect our environment, and yet we have money to deliver bombs to Iran and continue to support the military strength of Israel. I think, again, serves to keep us from focusing in that, keeping that pressure on this government to justify why it was necessary to lay off almost 60,000 federal employees at the start of the year, right? Like, it just doesn't make sense if you're talking about saving money, but you're sort of pinching pennies in all of these other areas, but you're not talking about the defense budget. I think that's curious. And I think Donald Trump, when he doesn't want to talk about something, he simply changes the subject. And this is a change of the subject. It's a dangerous changing of the subject. It's a deadly changing of the subject, but it changes the subject nonetheless.
Speaking of defense spending, you mentioned earlier how these dots are all connected. That is to say that in the black community, let me put it this way. I quote Dr. King as I did yesterday. King said of the Vietnam War that the bombs that were dropping there were landing in the ghettos and barrios of America's cities. And so these dots are not disconnected for us. Domestic policy is not disconnected from foreign policy when it comes to black people. So when you raised this point a moment ago, or moments ago, and I thought about the military parade that Donald Trump had on his birthday. And as I was watching some footage of that, I was, looking at all these black faces. It was the 250th anniversary of the Army, as you recall. And I'm watching this footage then, and I'm seeing all these black faces in the audience. And with all due respect to our military, our armed forces, I say all the time that my father was in the military for decades. So I'm a military brat, as it were. So I have great respect for the military and the role they play in protecting and serving us. I get that part. And yet in a moment like this, particularly in the era of Donald Trump, given the way he has politicized the military, think the Marines coming to Los Angeles, where I'm sitting right now, and there are any number of other examples that I could argue or offer. Say nothing, as we discussed earlier in today's program, of the rationale for bombing Iran. It just really doesn't exist. I've said more times than I can count. You must be stuck on stupid, or put down the crack pipe if you really believe that we just found out that Iran was 2 weeks away from completing a nuclear weapon. It's just nonsense on it's silly on its surface. Just as a prima facie argument, it's hard to even wrap your brain around how anybody could buy that nonsense. I digress on that point. But I'm getting to a simple a point of these black folk in the armed forces and how difficult a decision it must be these days for anybody black to decide in this moment that they want to be a part of the military that is being politicized in the way that Donald Trump is politicizing it, using the military to its particular and peculiar ends and aims. There's a lot there, but the point I'm pressing on is this notion of of how we process black folk in this moment being in the armed forces or considering going into the military at a moment like this. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think like you, like so many of us, we all know and love people in the U.S. military or have served. I had an uncle who was in the military. I have a cousin who's in the military. I mean, like so many of us, I had two uncles who served in Vietnam, not by choice, but were there and luckily made it home. So we have, I think, a deep reverence for the military and Black communities. I think, certainly for many of us, the military has represented a pathway to security, to healthcare, to the middle class, right? To all the
Education, yeah,
things.
sure.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, the GI Bill, when we
Yep.
were finally able to take advantage of it, has been tremendous. I mean, I've taught a number of veterans um, in my day. And so we definitely know that the military has been a pathway for many of us to become pretty much the most stable members of our families in some cases. Those military benefits have been key to seeing our communities through. But absolutely, many servicemen and women know that racial and ethnic discrimination exists, and they know that the way that this military is being run right now with the Secretary of Defense and this president represents an affront to their own safety on their installations because of their identities. And unfortunately, they don't really have the opportunity to sort of say no or defect because their job does not allow them to. I mean, by virtue of what they do, they take an oath, right, to this country, not to the president. And I think that's important, to this country. But for now, he is their commander in chief. And that has to be difficult, especially for many people in the military, view that place as a transition, right? To the careers that they most want, to the education that they need to become doctors or to become teachers or whatever else, engineers that they want to be. And it becomes, I think, a difficult road to hoe, because when we know bodies get deployed, many of them look like you and I.
Yep.
And I think that's, the unfortunate trade-off many young people find themselves in, and even career military, making decisions about whether to stay or end their careers because, this administration might be counter, right, to what they understand as their mission as members of the military.
Yeah. It's just a fascinating moment for me. Again, if one is graduating high school or doing something else in their life and thinking about joining the military and you happen to be black, it's a conundrum because you look at the various ways in which Donald Trump is putting upon and pushing back, pushing against the best interest of black people in this country. And then in that moment, you decide you want to serve the country, put your life on the line for the country, given the way the president is treating you or maltreating you and the people that you love. For me, it'd be, well, let me say this. For me, it would not be, I was going to say it would be a tough decision. It wouldn't be, really. For me, it would not be a tough decision right about now. Again, you have to juxtapose the way he's maltreating black people in this moment at every opportunity, at every turn. And then you make a decision to put, again, your life on the line to go serve the country right now. Yeah. That's an interesting dialectic. I'll leave it there for the moment. When we come forward, I do want to ask you, we were talking a moment ago about the ways in which this bombing of Iran and any number of other things that Donald Trump has done is really weapons, plural, weapons of mass destruction. But given that Dr. Carter is a professor in the School of Public Policy, I want to just ask what may be a strange and bizarre question in this moment, given how we are so distracted. But how do we grade Donald Trump on public policy? He's been there for a few months now. When it comes to public policy, I'm not talking about being distracted by the layoffs. I'm not talking about the raids. I'm not talking about the bombings. I'm not talking about the erasure of history. He's done a whole bunch of stuff that we've been talking about for months now, day in and day out on this program. But when it comes to advancing good public policy, what has Donald Trump actually done? We are talking to a public policy professor, so we'll deal with that part when we come forward with Dr. Niambi Carter on Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. It's primary day in New York City with polls open until 9 p.m. The spotlight is on the Democratic mayoral race where Zohran Mamdani leads Andrew Cuomo in a new poll.
I know who I'm going to vote for, okay? I decided already. Cuomo.
I did my research this week to make sure I knew what I was going for.
Black Mayor Eric Adams isn't on the ballot. He's running as an independent. The family of 61-year-old Karen Henry, a black woman from Chicago killed in a police pursuit crash, is suing 2 officers and the city. They claim the officers lacked authorization to chase the suspect who struck her near 60th and State Streets last November. And the Washington Monument in D.C. is closed today due to extreme heat. Though air-conditioned, it can't handle the triple-digit temperatures and crowds. Tours stopped after 10 a.m., with early visitors still allowed in. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Heads up in downtown LA. We have a stalled SUV on the 10 freeway eastbound right before the 110. It's in the left lane, traffic jammed back from Western Avenue. In Silmar, we have a problem. It's 5 big rigs that got into a crash with each other. 5 freeway southbound just past the 405. The truck lanes there are completely shut down until further notice. And in Anaheim, work zone there, 91 eastbound from Harbor out to State College, 2 right lanes are blocked.
Is this the takeover? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Lakers fans will be happy to hear this. NBA sources are saying that Luka Doncic has been incredibly committed to his offseason conditioning. He's on a strict diet and has been doing a lot of cardio training. Some people have seen photos of Doncic and they say he looks slimmer. After the Lakers were eliminated in the first round of the playoffs by Minnesota, Coach J.J. Redick said some players on the team need to get in better shape. One of those players was Doncic, who the Lakers are counting on to be the new face of the franchise. Doncic was under orders to commit to an offseason conditioning program. A new and improved Doncic will help the Lakers justify trading Anthony Davis to get him. The LA Sparks will try to snap a 3-game losing streak in the WNBA tonight in Chicago against the Sky. The Sparks are 4-10. Live coverage on NBA TV at 5 p.m. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a black and brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
This is KBLA Talk 1580.
Talk Radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
And the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my hour of darkness, she's standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be.
I'm Tavis Smiley. We are continuing our conversation with Dr. Niambi Carter, professor in the School of Public Policy at the University of Maryland, as we I've been playing the best of Aretha all 3 hours of our program today, celebrating June as Black Music Month. So I was saying a moment ago, Professor Carter, that that Trump surely has us talking about a variety of things, being distracted by any number of things. I mentioned, excuse me, I mentioned a few of them: layoffs and ICE raids and bombings and Marines and National Guard in L.A. and the erasure of history and all the things that we've been talking about in the months since he returned to the Oval Office. But given that we are talking to a public policy professor, it might be appropriate. It might be appropriate to ask how we're grading Donald Trump on his real job, which is advancing high quality public policy. You say what?
Well, I mean, I don't think I can be objective, right, about this one, because I don't think he's doing a good job. I mean, when we think about public policy, we think about something that is actually going to address social problems, right, societal problems, and create better outcomes for most of us, not just the people that vote for you or think like you. And that's everything to about how this country functions, to how we allocate resources. And so I think the choices about what Donald Trump has chosen to do and not do have not really addressed what public concerns are. So maybe the one issue where some feel he's done well might be the issue of immigration, right? Because one of the concerns that he campaigned on, and one of the things that some of his, sort of core constituency, his deep dyed-in-the-wool folks that voted for him, said that they thought that, there were too many immigrants coming into the country. And on that score, Trump has revoked temporary protected status for a number of people from Haiti and El Salvador and other places. He has stated a goal, I forgot what the actual number was per week of deportations. I don't think he's quite hit that number yet.
Nowhere near it. Yeah, go ahead.
But, he's actively doing that. He's deployed more effort, right? And by effort, I mean people, to the southern border to prevent border crossings and other things. So if that's the metric that you voted for him on, then yeah, he's doing okay, probably by you. You would probably give him a B on that one. If you look at economic policy, he promised to lower taxes and put tariffs on goods. Well, I think the tax bill, most people, even some of his own partisans, suggest that it's going to add trillions of dollars to the federal deficit, something that he campaigned on changing. He was going to reverse that. And so they don't favor that bill. Rand Paul in particular has been very critical. But that bill has not made it through yet, so we don't know how to grade him on that. And on the tariff issue, it seems that every time he's going to levy a tariff, he backs away from a tariff. And so I would say on that score, he would probably get a D. And I don't think you can divorce the tariffs from the fact that we have a number of people who are unemployed, federal employees who are unemployed. That is particularly devastating. And this is everybody from the Park Service to people who work in DC. So this is folks all over the country. Um, it's unclear, what the longer term effects are going to be, but he's had to call some of those people back because they don't actually have enough people to run the government with some of the cuts that they made. And then when you look at agencies like FEMA, right, which is our emergency responders, they have said, states and localities, you have to shoulder a bigger burden of that. And we've had a number of natural disasters, right, from flooding and other things that have happened. I mean, North Carolina asked for more assistance for what happened to Asheville, North Carolina, and they were told no, essentially. So I would say on economics, he probably gets a C, right? Because gas prices haven't gone down, inflation hasn't gone down, the cost of eggs certainly haven't gone down. So I'd say probably a C on that. Now on the other sort of more social issues like banning transgender people in the military, banning transgender women in particular from sports, banning affirmative gender affirming care, for trans children. The Supreme Court came back and reaffirmed Tennessee's decision as a state to do that. So I think he would probably say A on all his anti-transgender policies. So again, who's being served and who's being hurt by these policies, I think are the questions that need to be asked next. But I would say he's probably at a C overall on his agenda.
When it comes to who's being served and who's being hurt, specifically as it relates to black people, is there anything or anything at all, public policy-wise, that as a black professor of public policy you celebrate with regard to Donald Trump this time around? Anything at all he's done public policy-wise that you think black people ought to be celebrating or at least be appreciative of?
No.
Nothing at all?
No, full stop.
Yeah.
I don't know that we can appreciate or celebrate when we see black people be attacked and their professionalism be undermined, their contributions, whether armed services being one, be kind of papered over and erased. I don't think that there's much to celebrate.
But I thought I heard that a broken clock is right at least twice a day.
Yes, true. I don't know again on what I can say that black people ought to be uniquely thankful for or appreciative of from this administration. I cannot, not in good conscience. Now, if somebody can find it for me, great.
Sure.
I'll leave that to black Republicans to do for their president. But I honestly and truly, and I'm not trying to say it's because I think the Democrats are so much better.
Sure.
But I don't really see in these first 100 days, I don't see how Donald Trump has been helpful. I think he's been particularly destructive to black communities and black institutions.
So then how do you, and I don't disagree with you, I'm just playing devil's advocate here about the broken clock being right twice a day. At least you should get something right somewhere. Even if on accident, you should get something right, if by mistake. But the question now is, how do you then juxtapose your analysis, your commentary that there's nothing he has done as yet that black folk can embrace, appreciate, celebrate, revel in, with the increased number of black people who voted for Donald Trump this last time around? How do you square those two things?
Well, look, I think what people voted for in November is not what they expected to get in January.
Got it.
Right? Like, I think a lot of people, I mean, and listen, I will say, yes, more black people voted for Donald Trump, more black men in particular, but most black people, including black men, still vote for Democrats at higher rates than any other group.
Sure.
So that, I do think that needs to be said. That aside, I do think what some people were attracted to was sort of his strong man, very sort of masculinist policies. I think a lot of people view wealth as a indicator or a barometer of your goodness, right? Or your worthiness. So Donald Trump is rich. Of course we should listen to him. Donald Trump is wealthy. Of course he knows what he's doing. And a lot of people who see themselves as aspirationally wealthy probably thought that, yeah, that guy has the right perspective. Not to mention, I mean, I think there has been, and this is totally anecdotal, right? So take it with a grain of salt.
Right.
This sort of rightward shift, even in some Black media spaces, online in particular, with podcasts, etc., where, the so-called manosphere exists, where, being transphobic, being homophobic, being sort of, I mean, dare I say, anti-woman, is considered to be not just right, but a way to sort of correct the order.
Yeah.
And I think that there are some parts of our communities that view the kinds of politics that Donald Trump espouses as putting us back on the right track, right, of where we used to be. When people talk about Big Mama and Granddaddy being married forever and how things used to be and things were so good. And I think there is an appeal that Donald Trump has. I mean, listen, the man is not stupid. And he is a great political communicator. And I think he has gotten a lot of people to think of him as sort of like, hey, I'm the outside guy. I'm not a DC insider. I am the non-politician's politician. And if you want someone like me who's just going to shake things up and make DC work differently, because we should just burn it all down because it's working for none of us, then he's particularly appealing.
Well, shaking it up is one way to put it. That's one way to put it.
Yes.
You mentioned the Democrats when we come forward. I've got two issues relative to the Democrats I want to cover with Professor Carter. One is that the Democrats are selecting a new leader of the House Oversight Committee. This will be a lawmaker who will play a critical role in investigating Donald Trump and his administration in the years ahead. We'll talk about that. There were two black people running for that position, Jasmine Crockett, Kwesi Mfume, and one Latino, Robert Garcia, out of Long Beach here in Southern California, and a white guy named Stephen Lynch. A white guy, it sounds like a joke, right? A white guy, a Latino, and two black people are all running for the House Oversight Committee leadership position, again, playing a key role in investigating Donald Trump over the next few years. We'll talk about what's happening in that particular race. Somebody just dropped out of that race. I'll tell you about that in a second. And, of course, a big race today in New York City. It's a race for mayor, but it has implications for the Democratic Party writ large. We'll do that when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Yeah.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time, whenever news breaks, while we're on the air. It's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580, and we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. Thank you, thank you.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Dr. Niambi Carter. Let's take the House oversight issue first. We'll get to the mayor's race in New York in our remaining moments when we come forward. But the House Oversight Committee. This is the ranking member on that committee passed away. Gerald Connolly died not long ago at the age of 75 from cancer after he had beaten back a challenge from AOC. For the ranking member position on the House Oversight Committee. So now in that race for that seat are Stephen Lynch, 70 of Massachusetts, Kwesi Mfume, 76 of Maryland. We all know Kwesi Mfume. Robert Garcia, 47, Latino here from Long Beach, former mayor of Long Beach, California. And Jasmine Crockett, we all know Jasmine, 44 of Texas. Jasmine just dropped out of that race. So there are 3 left, Stephen Lynch, Kwesi Mfume, Robert Garcia. I'm on the air. I don't know if the votes are being tallied right now while I'm speaking, but the point is that there's also a generational shift here. You know, you got Garcia and Crockett on the younger end. You got Lynch and Mfume on the more chronologically gifted end. So even with the House Oversight Committee and this critical position, there is a generational divide here. I just got a minute or two right quick here on this subject. What say you about this fight for who's going to be the ranking Democratic member on the House Oversight Committee?
So the votes did come in. It's going to be Garcia.
Oh, good. Okay. I did not.
Yeah,
wow. Garcia won.
Yeah, that's what it's looking like. Of course, it's suggesting Garcia won. And like you said, Crockett dropped out. It appears that Crockett was not able to get the backing of the steering committee, and it looked like it was going to be Garcia. So I think she said she would back off.
Right.
But I think you brought up something that's really important here. And I think, the Democratic Party is having to figure out who it wants to be.
Right.
I think there's been a lot of infighting. But I do think it does represent a shift. I think Garcia probably won't want to talk about that. I mean, he is relatively young, considering the age of most members of Congress more generally. And so I think it matters that they chose a young person for this position. I think, at least optically, I think it's important because, I mean, no offense to Kwesi Mfume. I'm a Marylander. I have deep respect for Representative Mfume, but I mean, the man is near 80. And I think seeing other old guys talk to other old guys about things that they've been talking about, for decades, just doesn't sit right anymore. And I think that there is a desire for a younger leadership.
I hear your point. I'm going to say I'm surprised, though. I'm still surprised. Again, I didn't know the vote was taking place while I'm on the air, so I'm glad you found out faster than I did. So it's good to have you on today to break that news for me because I hadn't seen it as yet. But again, he's 47. He's now the ranking Democrat on the House Oversight Committee, a key committee in terms of these investigations that likely will take place of Trump in the coming months and years. The first Latino and first openly gay mayor of Long Beach. We know him well here in Southern California. So Robert Garcia, it appears, is the new ranking Democrat on the House Oversight Committee. We'll leave it there. When we come forward, a few moments left, a few quick moments to talk about this New York mayor's race. That has implications, as does this race we've been talking about. The House Oversight Committee, this New York mayor's race has implications as well. A 33-year-old could be the mayor of New York City. We'll talk about that when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Nearly 7 million Americans aged 65 and older are living with Alzheimer's disease, or AD. But did you know that Black adults aged 65 and older are twice as likely as white adults to develop AD? You may be able to reduce your risk by managing conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure, being physically active, eating healthy, and exercising your mind. To learn more about AD, the importance of early diagnosis and intervention, and a potential treatment option, visit treatallzearly.com. That's treatallzearly.com. This message is brought to you by AZI.
Less monologue, more dialogue. Tavis Smiley continues right now.
I got a tight 2 minutes here, Professor Carter. Just a tight 2 minutes. Andrew Cuomo trying to make a comeback is age 67. Zoran Mondani is 33. He's a Democratic socialist. Andrew Cuomo, a moderate Democrat. Polls showed that Mondani's been gaining in the last couple of days. Again, the primary is today. What say you about the way this race will shape the Democratic Party going forward? 90 seconds belongs to you.
Yes, look, I think, as you noted, it is a test for the Democratic Party. I think seeing a stalwart like Cuomo come back after resigning and sort of the murkiness surrounding that, I don't know if that's going to be enough to make older and other New Yorkers pick basically an unknown, right? I mean, Mondani is an unknown quantity, and New York is a huge, huge undertaking. I mean, so goes New York City, so goes the state of New York. So I think Mondani still has an uphill battle, but this race is probably a lot tighter than Democrats ever anticipated and probably did not want to see. And I think with the ranked choice voting, he actually could edge it out. I think it might at least be a runoff. If that happens, that'll be great to see. It'll be really interesting for democracy in that city. And we've seen numbers of early voters tick up this year from 2021. Will the heat keep people away? Yeah. We shall see. Nope. But I think it's a question.
No, it is a big question, and we'll have some answers hopefully tomorrow. But ranked choice voting,
absolutely.
If I could explain that, I'd be a nuclear scientist if I could explain how ranked choice voting works. But tomorrow,
very easy.
Yeah, tomorrow we'll see. But again, the 67-year-old Andrew Cuomo trying to make a comeback as a moderate Democrat, but this young Democratic socialist endorsed by Bernie Sanders, AOC, and many others, just 33 years of age. The Democratic Party is having a reckoning, and we'll see what it looks like tomorrow. Professor Carter, good to have you on. All the best to you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tavis.
See you tomorrow, everybody. Until then, thanks for listening. As always, keep the faith.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. It's primary day in New York City with polls open until 9 p.m. The spotlight is on the Democratic mayoral race where Zohran Mamdani leads Andrew Cuomo in a new poll.
I know who I'm going to vote for, okay? I decided already. Cuomo.
I did my research this week to make sure I knew what I was going for.
Black Mayor Eric Adams isn't on the ballot. He's running as an independent. The family of 61-year-old Karen Henry, a black woman from Chicago killed in a police pursuit crash, is suing 2 officers and the city. They claim the officers lacked authorization to chase the suspect who struck her near 60th and State Streets last November. And the Washington Monument in D.C. is closed today due to extreme heat. Though air-conditioned, it can't handle the triple-digit temperatures and crowds. Tours stopped after 10 a.m., with early visitors still allowed in. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Heads up in downtown LA. We have a stalled SUV on the 10 freeway eastbound right before the 110. It's in the left lane, traffic jammed back from Western Avenue. In Silmar, we have a problem.